huge congrats on the movie. Really, really enjoyed it. I know it's a project that's been around for a long time, so I just wanted to start by asking how you guys got involved, because I know Saoirse's been attached since she was about 17 or 18, I think. So
I was attached first, and they said, who you think should play Mary? I said, maybe Saoirse Ronan.
Maybe.
Yeah. I said I wouldn't do it until Mary.
Turned down Elizabeth a couple of times.
But it was Mary Queen of Scots. That was the original. That was the original title, and I said, I think the story. Give Saoirse a chance. Yeah. Give her a wee chance and see what happens. I think she's doing okay at it.
She's got promise.
I'm a wee bit older than her, so she'll learn in time, I think. But she's pretty skilled, I would say.
Not bad.
She's getting there.
Getting there, yeah.
Isn't she?
Day by day.
Day by day. She tries her hardest, God bless her.
She does. Margot too, I guess, as well. Yeah. She's getting there.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know her well enough to take it. Margot's excellent.
I know it's a project that's been around for a long time. I know Saoirse's been involved. How did you come involved, and what was it about the story that kind of spoke to you as a filmmaker?
I think the first thing was Saoirse Ronan, whose work on film is so extraordinary. And Lady Bird hadn't come out when we made this movie, but I'd been impossibly moved by her performance in Brooklyn, and tracked her since Atonement. She's an amazing, wondrous actor. So it was Saoirse that made me want to get on board. And then I think I started to read around, and both Saoirse and I wanted to try and tell a new and a better and a more just story about Mary. I think she's been pretty maligned by history. She's been either kind of slut-shamed or painted as some kind of femme fatale, or she's too emotional to be able to do her job properly. And I don't think any of that is true. I think people were working even within her own time to destroy letters, rearrange archives, fake news her. And the idea that we could start to put that straight based on this very brilliant, vivid, but forensically scholarly book was an incredible opportunity.
I was just talking to the other guys and said about how the film has been kind of gestating for a long time, and Saoirse wasn't attached when she was about 18, I think. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to start by asking you guys when you got involved, whether you were there from years ago, whether it was kind of a newer thing for you.
When it was greenlit and Josie knew she was going and she was casting, that's when I got a call to say, "Oi, come and fancy doing this." That's when I jumped on board.
Absolutely same, yeah.
But when you say Saoirse was connected to it since she was 18, it sounds like, oh my God, since then. Yeah. She's not far past that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But she's pretty much now. I think she was the age Mary was when it was all happening. So it's probably worked out. Yeah, perfect.
Obviously, I really like the film, and it reminded me in many ways of like a very fiery thriller, because the characters kind of kept apart and there's lots going on, and they have this great moment at the end. Yeah. When you guys read the script for the first time, was it those elements, or was it other elements that kind of in your characters that kind of spoke to you when you?
Being Scottish, I grew up on the story, and you kind of just hope it sort of does the whole saga justice, and then you get Bo Willimon, who's wrote probably the greatest political sort of drama of our time, and with House of Cards, and to see the come together, it was really exciting. And he says we've had this thing with where obviously you take as much as history as you can, but you have to have elements or a license to make a bit of drama in that, because obviously they never met in real life, but that scene is as good as any battle sequence. When they meet at the end, it's breathtaking. The way it's shot, and just you've been waiting for these two queens, these two emperors, these two amazing actors who have been on fire the whole time to have a meeting. It's like I think I actually heard, I was going to say, but I think Josie said this before. It's like when Pacino and De Niro meet in Heat. It's a phenomenal moment.
Just before I interviewed with Josie, and she was saying how kind of timeless the story is. You can kind of transcend time with it in terms of now and then. I mean, was that something when you read the script for the first time that you knew that was the case, and that how important the story it was to tell?
No. I didn't read it and think, oh, this is timely. I read it and went, oh, this is about Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah.
And it was just written well and done in an interesting way. You can often read period films and they feel quite stuffy and not very alive and uninteresting, but this one was just written so well. But that's what I felt.
Yeah. It felt easy to act. Do you know what I mean? No, like in a good way. Like Joe was saying, like you were like, this is. You can speak this. It doesn't have to be like. Sometimes you read period films and you just think, how are we meant to say that?
Some scripts do come with easy to act labels on the front page.
That's the ones I get to. Don't worry, it's easy to act.
It's easy, moderate. Yeah.
I found this a wee bit hard, so I asked for the beard and the hair just
hide as much as possible.
That did a lot of the acting for me.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do an accent.
Well, I didn't have to do an accent. The eyeliner did a lot, and I gave Saoirse a few wee tips every now and then, and she listened. So. She's done well. But I also think that the angle the film's taken, you know, with everything that's going on just now politically and the representation of the women in the film is obviously the angle that the film is taken and the way everyone's looking at it. But I actually think all the characters, the men and the women, are portrayed in a really human, three-dimensional way, and I think that was evident in the script when we read it as well. I didn't read it thinking this is going to be spun a certain way. I just thought these are all the characters are flawed, all the characters make mistakes, and regardless of their gender, and use the position that their gender gives them to their advantage. You know, like the fact that, I don't know, my character definitely does, I think yours does as well, the fact that we have a part of the patriarchy helps us, but equally Mary gives birth to a baby, which is something we can't do. You know what I mean? They all use their genitalia to their advantage in this film.
What was the biggest challenge for you as a filmmaker? Because it's very much a character piece, but also it is very, very vast because of where you shoot. I mean, what was the biggest challenge for you to bring this to the screen?
In a way, it's the sort of logistical challenge of filmmaking, which is about going, we really want to shoot on the east coast and on the west coast of Scotland. We really want to come through Derbyshire and shoot these amazing Elizabethan locations. We want to shoot that bit in Oxford. We've got to go to Gloucester Cathedral for those two things, and then we need to come back to Pinewood. And how do you move the budget around and move scenes around in order to make that happen, but not destroy the rhythm in which you're making the film? So working that out, which actually I loved as a challenge, but to do that for the first time on this scale, I was really relying on the brilliance of my first AD and other people around me just to show me how that universe worked.
It's weird you say that, because that was, a lot of people have said that before, and I certainly feel it, but I think that's testament to how well the film is up to that point. Yeah. That works so well, because it could have been quite flat, I guess, if the rest of it doesn't work. What was she like as a director? Because some of the stuff that she brings to the screen is phenomenal.
Yeah, she was fantastic as a director. She knew exactly what she was going for. Like all the best directors, really, she knew exactly what she didn't want to see. So everything else was left up to us to create. So she would point like costume and cinematography and sound and music in a certain direction, and then stand back and let them come up with the goods. She had the time to come in and give us a tiny note and a tiny word here and there in a sentence, while dealing with a shot that had 40, 50 people in it. She was great.
Very calm, and I think that's important, because when you're on something like that and everybody's nervous, because it is a big production, it's the first time director. I've been on sets and other things, and directors are having a bit of a meltdown, but that sort of vibe transcends the set. Everybody starts to get a bit nervous, and with Josie being so calm and in control, it let you feel like things are going in the right direction.
Yeah. Just a word on Saoirse and Margot. I mean, they've done so much amazing stuff in such a short space of time. I mean, what was it like to be amongst them, just as they were kind of, because they're slowly becoming some of the best actors, but also they're doing so much outside of work for the industry and everything else. I mean, it must have been great to see them in action.
It was really good to see them in action, and they're surrounded by people who've done lots of theatre and lots of stage and screen and so on, and we're all there supporting them as they tell this story, and they were fantastic. What they did on screen was great. It was detailed, it was passionate. And what makes both those emotions, detail and passion, what makes both those things really work well is when they're compressed and a person isn't trying not to show them. That's when it becomes intriguing and powerful, and they both did that.
Was it a fun shoot? I remember talking to Chris Pine about Outlaw King in Scotland and how cold it was everywhere. How was that kind of environment? Because you can really feel it on the screen. Like, all
they were in front of us always by like a couple of weeks. We sort of followed them around the Highlands.
We saw them, I think, when we had some horse riding lessons in London. They were doing a big boot camp.
That's right.
They had more horses than us.
Yeah. We had more hair.
Yeah.
And it was all on James.
Exactly. But
no, it always does make a difference when you get to shoot it where it's set. And you don't have to do sort of windswept acting yourself.
Yeah.
That's provided by the Scottish mountains.
I did a wee bit anyway. Yeah. But and it was a nice. Everyone got on, I think, didn't they?
Yeah. It was great. It was wonderful shooting up there. It really was.
I didn't get to go up there.
That's what I mean. Joe didn't get to
I
go.
wish I'd gone up there. It
Joe
looked
shot in a
beautiful.
box.
Yeah.
Didn't want
You were done in like two weeks, weren't you? In
We
England?
we shot the English stuff in about 3.5 weeks at the beginning, and then there was the second part of the film. They just went up to Scotland.
Yep.
But not with me.
Did you always have Margot in mind, or did she kind of come in? Because the two of them together are extraordinary because they're apart for a lot of the movie, and then obviously have this very fiery, very big moment at the end. But was she always someone, because she's like Saoirse, she's done so many amazing things over the last few years.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I, Tonya wasn't out, but I'd seen Wolf of Wall Street and other performances. So Saoirse was attached. We found this great book. Beau Willimon, who wrote House of Cards, wrote this amazing screenplay. And then Working Title said, who do you want to play Elizabeth against Saoirse? And I said, Margot Robbie. And they in Focus, who produced the movie, were like, great, fly to Los Angeles and see if you can talk her into it. So I flew to LA, and I think she managed to find like an hour to see me before she was due to go on her honeymoon.
Right.
Yeah. So I sat down with her in this coffee shop in LA, and the whole thing had a dreamlike quality because I'd never really been to LA anyway, and talked to her about the film. And initially she said no, and she said no because Cate Blanchett is her hero, and because she didn't feel like she knew enough about this period of history. So a bit like the movie, I came back to London and I wrote her a letter. It was an email, but I wrote her a letter. It's a bit romantic. And said, look, this is why you're essential to this film and you're going to be amazing. And this is how, as a theatre director, I know how to prepare someone for a part. And she said yes from her honeymoon. So
A big yes.
yes.
I wanted to ask you about not to give anything away, I think it's been spoken about before, the meat of the two of them. I mean, was that always in the script that was how it was going to play out?
That was actually the pitch for the film. So the pitch for the movie to Working Title initially and then to Focus was, let's think about a kind of Renaissance heat. So, that great Pacino De Niro, but let's give two young women a 12-page scene in which we can understand three-dimensionally what the relationship between these two queens was and work as hard as we can, both to, that never happened, that scene, they never met, but they wrote all these letters to each other. So to distill all of that history from that correspondence, but also to try and find as much humanity as we can so we can connect with that.
I mean, obviously it's a film that I think Josie said has a timeless quality, that you could bring a lot of the stuff in the movie into modern day. Do you think there's some lessons from this movie that we can kind of heed to in modern day society?
It's one of those brilliant sort of historical films, if you like, that shows us that we actually haven't changed much. Because we haven't. And I think when people get a Shakespeare right or any kind of classic right, they're a classic because they, regardless of when they were set, they dig and scratch out what it is to be human. And when you look at those two women in that position, surrounded by the politics they're surrounded by, you do absolutely think when you watch it, we really haven't changed much. And then you think, have we learned anything? So
there's a lot of deviant bastard men, isn't there? Backstabbing.
I was talking to Adrian and Martin just now, and I was talking to them about the kind of lessons that we can learn from this and how history hasn't changed.
What did they say? They're like, history hasn't changed. Is that what they both said?
Yeah, and Martin said some expletives about men. But
Did he? He gives a decent swear, Martin, like he gives good swear.
It's got that Scottish swear, isn't
it? Yeah,
but are you hopeful that there's some lessons in here for everybody? Are you hopeful that it kind of transcends movies and people actually take notice of what these women kind of went through and what their story was?
Well, I think movies are culture, right? And I'm doing a movie, having worked in theatre all my life, being able to tell a story with a reach and a scale that is unimaginable if I'm working in theatre. So it's really important when, particularly as a woman, you think about telling the story of two iconic women, that what you're doing is searching for the humanity in it, searching for the resonance, and actually searching to tell the full truth. So not just about what they confronted in their own day, but also, as a woman, what it is to be vulnerable, to be nervous, to be undermined, to have to pick your courage up off the floor and carry on, and all of those challenges that they face. And I mean, if it doesn't necessarily have a message as a film necessarily, that always sounds really naff, doesn't it? But if it has a hopeful suggestion, it's that we try and find ways to understand what it is for women to lead and to make that thing a conversation society is readier to accept without holding their bodies or their fertility or things that are to do with their gender in unhelpful ways in front of that as an obstacle.
Absolutely. Because you've done 2 in a row now, haven't you, with that and The Favourite.
Yeah, they were back to back, yeah.
And they're all very unstuffy, as you were saying.
Yeah,
they're
very, very
kind
different.
Of going off in different ways and stuff.
God's sake, that's lucky, man. That's good. Can't wait to see it.
That's great.
Just before I go, I do want to ask you about Saoirse and Margot. Both fantastic in the movie. And the great thing I loved about it was that they almost kept apart for the movie and then have a kind of Pacino, De Niro heat moment towards the end that's really fiery. I mean, what was it like working with them? Because they're, as you said before, they're really becoming special actors who are not just doing that, but obviously in terms of representation of women, doing a lot for the cause and stuff as well.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're both incredible, both of them. And it was good fun to actually see the scene. The big one at the end. I don't know if I read that scene.
Because you weren't in it. Nah. Bloody. Yeah. After you died, you did not know what happened.
No. Did we win?
Exactly.
No, it's
You're saying how good Saoirse and Margot are.
They are. They're remarkable, both of them. And I think that scene is, you could just have that scene alone.
And they were saying how they didn't really meet or see each other in costume until shooting it, which I didn't know until a few weeks ago.
I didn't know they
didn't tell me.
I think that adds to it, which is...
Yeah, they should take it to the Fringe.
Yeah.
They should.
Just go around the country.
Just the two of them set it up by themselves. Yeah.
Sadly, gents, that's my time up. Thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey